Okay. Okay, good evening, everybody. It's 6:30, and I'm calling the Committee of the Whole meeting to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Schrader. Schwartz. Weibel. Alex. Anderson.
Oh, we'll have to count.
Bergson.
6, 8,
Carter.
9, 10,
Cowart.
11, 12. Yeah, okay.
Esri.
Here.
Harper. Harrison. Hartke. Jay. Maxwell. McGuire. Michaels. Mitchell. Quisenberry. Rector. Rosales.
Here.
Petrie.
Present. Thank you very much. Did you get Mr. Alex? He's entered the room. All right, before we proceed to the rest of our agenda, I think it's probably very appropriate to take a few minutes of silence to reflect on another tragedy that's hit the United States in Orlando. And most of you probably do know that at 7 o'clock till 8:30 this evening at Westside Park, there's a vigil being held for all the citizens of Champaign County to come and express their concerns about what happened to our fellow citizens in the state of Florida. So let's just take a minute, it's not much, but a minute to acknowledge that we really don't want these things happening in our country. Thank you very much. Let's proceed with the agenda. A motion to approve the agenda and addenda for this evening. Mr. Esri, is there a second, please? Second. Mr. Rosales, thank you. Yes, Mr. Quisenberry.
You mentioned at the Democratic Caucus that you were going to pull item 4 under A4 under policy, is that correct?
That is correct. Thank you for that reminder. Any other changes on the agenda? Thank you. All right. Ms. Schwartz has entered the room for the clerk's note. All right. All in favor of the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Thank you. A motion to approve the minutes of the 10th of May, please. Thank you, Mr. J. A second. Mr. Rector, any additions or corrections to those minutes? All right, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Oh, very good. Thank you. Moving to public participation. Thank you. It's a reminder, we have a full house this evening. That's wonderful to have so many people joining us. And just to remind everyone of the rules of the county board, each individual 5 minutes to speak. We have the countdown clocks up and working so you can see the time getting counted down. And we have a total of 60 minutes for public participation. And I have taken the slips as they have been handed to me, so that's the way they will be called. And first person is Ron Kussler. And just a reminder, since you're the first one up, to be sure to turn the mic on, Ron. Thank you.
My name is Ron Kester. I live at 1209 West Oregon Street in Urbana.
I want to comment about the 3 people whose lives were ended in the satellite jail in the past 6 months. I'm sure you've all seen the news stories by now. I think we can all agree that the county's custodial responsibility should always be its highest priority. When someone is taken into custody at the jail, their life is now entirely in the county's hands. For their basic necessities, yes, but also for every form of crisis. No one gets help in the jail unless the county allows it. As a volunteer teacher at the jail since 2010, I know from the students I work with that being incarcerated is itself a crisis. You are separated from every form of support. You are prevented from solving any of your problems. Cries for help routinely go unanswered. The effects of this trauma are a common sight at the jail. The question I have for you this evening is how you plan to demonstrate the seriousness with which you take this custodial responsibility and the crisis that we're facing now as a county. I worry about this because just as I've witnessed the trauma among incarcerated people at the jail, I've seen members of the county board routinely acquiesce to the authority of the sheriff's office. Whether it's the sheriff's office making jail building a top priority for the county for years, or trusting the sheriff's office that everyone who is incarcerated needs to be incarcerated. When the sheriff tells you not to worry, they'll do better next time. When he blames a third party or complains about the facility or tries to convince you that statistically this is normal, will you acquiesce again? Or will you use the power at your disposal to demand real change at the sheriff's office and in the jail? You have the power of the budget. You can demand an improvement in the care provided to the incarcerated people at the jail. Not next year, not part of some 5-year plan. You can start that right now. And you can go further. You can resurrect the pretrial services program and start a public campaign to force the courthouse to adopt it. Not for 5 weeks as they did before, but for an adequate period of time when all aspects of the program are fully implemented. Let me start that process with a question. Let's ask Judge DeFanis if a full-time, fully funded, credible pretrial services program would have identified the special needs of the 3 individuals whose lives were ended in jail, if such a program would have changed the culture of the jail. But I'm not the one who should be asking that. You should be asking that as our elected representatives. And this campaign should have been started long before now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Terry Townsend.
Good evening. Hoping I didn't eat up all my time trying to get here. My name is Terry Townsend. I was appointed by the Champaign County Board to the Housing Authority of Champaign County. I served for 10 years. I am the first African-American officer of the Housing Authority. The last time I was here, I spoke to you about the appointment or not appointment or non-appointment of Linda Turnbull. I was encouraged to meet with the county board chair and administrator at that time. I declined. Rather, I decided to call for federal and state intervention because we have been down this road before. In 2013, Margaret Neal was somehow allowed to get on the Housing Authority Board, and she appointed herself to the board. These things were never resolved. I met with the county board chair, 2 of them. I met with staff, 3, 4, 5, 10 times, I don't know how many times. Met with state officials, met with HUD. We went through all of this, state law and federal law. It was settled. We find ourselves back here again. Dr. Petrie is the chairman of this board. I'm here tonight to call for her resignation. The appointment of Linda Turnbull was terrible. She was essentially told to go over and sit at the Housing Authority Board of Commissioners meeting. She took her seat April 28th. Now, this was done in conjunction with the Housing Authority Director, Ed Bland. Since that time, Dr. Petrie has indicated that she did not appoint Ms. Turnbull. This was a deliberate act to circumvent the board, state law, and federal law. I will not let it go unchallenged. I have served for 45 years in this community. I was born and raised here. I asked for Chancellor Weiss's resignation, a Republican, and I'm aware that Dr. Petrie is a Democrat. I'm doing this because we need to make clear that if the Housing Authority is not functioning properly, we're in dire straits in terms of housing in this community. As some of you should be aware, the Housing Authority is moving into the counties, Mahomet, Tolono, Rantoul, other areas. This county board has absolutely been silent. You have given up or abdicated your responsibility to the people that you serve. Make no mistake about it. I tried to make you proud. In 45 years, I've never come to this county board and asked for anybody's resignation. Dr. Petrie now indicates that it's the housing tenants or residents that should appoint Ms. Turnbull. That is totally untrue. Totally untrue. She even involved herself with the resident advisory bylaws. Can you imagine the chief political officer for the county somehow going into a project and getting involved with their tenant organization? That's what she did. That was inappropriate, it was micromanaging, and it was just plumb wrong. Now, I look at the appointment of Grant Henry, one of your appointments. Grant Henry's appointment was done correctly. It is filed or deposited into the Recorder of Deeds office. None of that happened here. I am absolutely unsure as to why this was done. In addition to Dr. Petrie's requesting her resignation, I don't think at this point that a federal prosecutor is needed, but the investigation is going to continue. I must make clear that I have spoken with HUD, and they do not differ with me on what the federal law and what the state law says. They will either be here or send you a letter of whatever form they choose. I don't tell the federal government what to do. We have been down this road. As far as the state's attorney, I am asking and calling on the state's attorney that she get a legal opinion from the Attorney General's Legal Opinion Bureau and submit it to this county. We must resolve this issue once and for all. Now, I don't take any pleasure in this. I'm retired. I wouldn't go to the Democratic caucus or Republican caucus, nothing. We have student homelessness growing in this county and other issues. The Housing Authority is a municipal corporation, and none of you should be over there playing around or tampering with resident bylaws and all those things unless you have an attorney with you. You can just get in trouble. So as the state's attorney said, some laws were probably broken. I'm not going to pursue that, but I am going to pursue that we set this right. The Housing Authority got $14 million from HUD to build housing. They have a federal consultant roaming around Champaign County trying to figure out where to build public housing. You're not in the annual plan of any cities. The federal government has not a paragraph from the county as to what your housing needs are. Now, is this racial discrimination? Political betrayal? I don't care about any of that. What I care about is that the people that live in this county have a great need for housing. And the $14 million that Fisher is talking about, that's just one pot of money. I apologize to this board for taking up too much time. I do not apologize for what I'm doing. This supports my position in asking for Dr. Petrie's resignation. This is my letter to HUD. This is a legal opinion from the state's attorney where it says repeatedly that I'm right. You have the appointment power. There are only 3 appointing units in Champaign County: the county board, the city of Champaign, and the city of Urbana. Period. It's yours. You have the power. And I would dare say that you should not ever give that up. There's also an opinion, a legal opinion in here from the Housing Authority's attorney. So this little black boy coming here trying to tell you what to do, not doing that. I'm just telling you that the federal law and the state law is against you. You're not going to win this. Thank you for your time. Where did I deposit this?
Oh, bring it up here so it can be on the record, please.
Okay. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Townsend.
Yes.
Charles Davidson.
How you doing? My name is Charles Davidson of Urbana, Illinois. And my concern is the deaths that's going on in Champaign County Jail. I'm a survivor of the Champaign County Jail. I'm also an ex-felon. And I've been through, unfortunately, Champaign County Jail several times. Okay. And the last couple of people that died, they were friends of mine, Ms. Horstad, Ms. Fraser, and Mr. Manson Winters, who died in a nursing home because the county jail would not accept his medicine from his family. I really think that should be a big concern for everybody, for the community and everyone else. They spend thousands of dollars by hiring consultants to tell them how to fix their county jail. Man, that's ridiculous. I think that I've read somewhere in the law book, if you have over 50 people in a jail, you should have in a little hospital. You know, you're supposed to have doctors and nurses on staff 24/7. And it's also the law, if someone, I'm also was addicted to heroin for 20 years off and on all my life. And when I got in trouble in 2011, I turned myself in 2011, October the 7th, to do 6 years. When I went in there, I told them that I would be withdrawn from heroin. And I was in there 7 days. I ended up in 3 days. They had put me in a holding cell on the floor. And then they moved me to what we call the naked house. You probably know it as suicide watch. For what reason, I don't know. I didn't have a bunk. I didn't have a cot or nothing. I was on the floor. And they took all my clothes. I didn't have no tissue or nothing. You know, I was getting blood pressure medication, but after they put me there, I didn't get no medication. I never seen a doctor because I complained about my sickness to a person that I thought was a nurse, but she was a mental health worker. And she told me to stay right there at the cell I was at. And next thing I know, the deputy sheriff came, told me to grab all my stuff, and they put me in the naked house, took all my clothes, and I stayed in that one cell, And it's every time I think about it, I get kind of emotional, you know, because I've never been done like that before. I never had a disciplinary report in the county jail. Like I said, I've been there several times. And they took all my clothes. I didn't even have no toilet paper. I'm withdrawing from here. I got diarrhea, I'm throwing up everything. It was just a big mess. I stayed in that cell without any more medication, without seeing a doctor for 5 more days. And by the grace of God, they accidentally shipped me to Stateville. I didn't think I was gonna make it there. But as soon as I got to Stateville, they rushed me to the emergency room. All my organs was failing. So it's a lot. They should have an infirmary over there. Other than that, they should build a facility in the neighborhood, in the community, to house people, sick people. They had me in a cell with about 8 other people. If you wanted to use the toilet, you had to ask somebody to move, you know, to move so you could use the toilet. That's ridiculous. And I just think that it could be something done better than that. You spend thousands of dollars on lawyers to fight cases when you could easily build a facility to house sick people, you know. You're supposed to take care of the people that come in the county jail. You know, you got them there. You're supposed to take care of them. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davidson. The next person, I'm going to spell the first name. I believe reading it on the paper is Niloot. Is it Far? Is that correct? Yes. Thank you. I know. You can take me out to the woodshed.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to take too much time. What I like to say is kind of one layer of a multi-level problem, the most significant one being the death of these 3 people. But I want to connect this problem to a major problem we have in the community, and we have been struggling with it with not much success, which is that it doesn't seem to be, whether it's Waller County in Texas or Champaign County in Illinois, there doesn't seem to be enough compassion towards the poor, people of color, mentally ill, and those with substance abuse. And at the intersection of these characteristics, a jail is waiting for these people, while what they need are community-based medical clinics and social services agencies and a good education and good jobs. So I see these as the systemic problems we have, and we can deal with them. We can deal with them. As Dr. King said, budgets are moral documents. So if we are willing to spend money on jails or this or that, but not on services for people in our community, that means that we have failed. And and these 3 people who died in the Champaign County Jail would not have died. 99%, I cannot say exactly what the percentage is, if they had received help from the county over their years, because they did not develop these problems just yesterday or the day before. Neither they received supervision by the jail staff, which is at the kind of a basic level, and neither did our sheriff's office accept responsibility or think that the office is accountable to the county board you have authority over that office. And they don't even, one thing that really got to me was that when I read that after, I can't even say, after Ms. Fraser was passed away, the family was not informed, and it took 2 weeks for a letter in snail mail to be received by the family. And the way they realized what had happened, it wasn't after these 2 weeks, rather through a friend who had been in jail and had called them and said, this has happened, this tragedy has happened. And this, to me, is the utmost lack of respect for human beings, especially if they are poor and they are people of color. And I'm just tired of coming here, talking and going back and forth and seeing nothing done. We need services in our community for our people who cannot afford to take care of themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Chris Evans. Okay, I'll go ahead with Belden Fields.
My name is Belden Fields, 206 West Pennsylvania, Urbana. The issue of the lack of treatment or the mistreatment of people in the county jail, that whole issue is not confined to people with mental health problems or people with addiction. A case that I was involved in and was an advocate for was one by a man named Myron Scruggs, who was an African-American man, a dialysis technician who worked for a service that supplied dialysis places such as ours on University Avenue. His hotel room, and by the way, the details of this is in the Public Eye newspaper that I've put out. There's a very long article I have on it. Suffice to say, he had committed no offense, but police officers burst into his hotel room, sprayed him in the face so he could not see what was coming next. And then 2 officers, one of whom was Matt Rush, the name might be familiar to you, another one was David McLaren, proceeded to cuff him and then beat him. And they beat him so severely that they broke the bones in the socket over his eyes. They then took him to Carl Emergency Room. And the Carl Emergency Room issued a document that indeed the bones had been broken. His blood pressure was up around 212, 214. The police took him out of the emergency room and took him to the jail. Now, it doesn't take a physician to know that this guy was at stroke level at that point. He could easily have had a stroke in that jail. Why in the world would the Carl Emergency Room release him? If I were a patient in there, if any of you were a patient in there, those of you who are white, if any of you who had been a patient there, there's no way in hell that that emergency room would have let you out of there. They would have kept you until they stabilized you. But they let Myron be taken by the police to the county jail. Now, fortunately, he did not die. He sat in the jail for 3 days, but he did not die in the jail. That was fortuitous that he did not. I think we've got to get something straight here. One is that hospitals in this community should not be letting patients out until they are stabilized. And the second thing is police officers should not be taking non-stabilized people out of the emergency room and taking them to the jail where they're not going to get care. Now, I don't know what the authority of the county board is, whether we can direct the hospitals to not release anybody to the police to be taken over the jail, or whether we have to simply make it clear that police officers cannot pull people out of the jail who are in that kind of condition because they are at severe threat. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fields. Is Chris Evans back in the room?
Chris Evans. I am with Champaign-Urbana Citizens for Peace and Justice, build programs, not jails, in the Independent Media Center, and I've been a longtime resident of District 8, and I've lived in this county for about 40 years now. Where to start? I guess we don't know what it's like to go through heroin withdrawal. And I guess we don't know what it's like to be sick in the county jail with just in a cinder block cell with a bunch of strangers. And I guess because they broke the law, there's no need to really care about them. But that's the attitude that it seems to me for the last 10 years that I've been seeing. We've had over a dozen jail deaths now over the last 10 years. We take in 15 people a day to that jail. We take about 480 people a month to that jail, 8,000 people a year. And most of the time, we take people to jail because they have a suspended driver's license, or because they had an open container of liquor, or because they had a little bit of cannabis in their pocket, or because they don't have all their traffic tickets and fines and fees paid in city court. The majority, study done by the University of Illinois, a group study showed that of the 5,016 cases that they looked at, the arrests that they looked at, 97%, I think 93% were of nonviolent offenses. In the case of Paul Clifton, he was summarily dragged out of bed at 1 in the morning at his residence for suspended license and taken to the county jail where he had 2 asthma attacks and died. I don't know. You know, is that how we want to roll? And I would submit that if it were your family member, you would want a full investigation done into this, and any means necessary and any expenditure necessary to make sure that kind of stuff doesn't happen again. We need mental health treatment in this county. We need substance abuse treatment in this county. We do not need more jailing of those problems. We need actual treatment that gets people well. And if it were your relative, I think you would want that. That's what you would want for them. Not prosecution, not imprisonment, but help. As my elected representatives, I'm asking you to do a full investigation into these deaths, including all the videos and all the witnesses that were in that jail that surrounded these 3 people. What exactly were the guards' response to their physical complaints? What were the procedures? What access to care did they have at Carl? And exactly why are we outsourcing our medical care from a group in Peoria and doctors that don't even live in this county? Why don't we have a local doctors? You know, Carl Hospital wants to qualify for a property tax break, but they don't provide any medical treatment to our inmates that are in jail. We are taking people to jail for the most of the time for very small reasons, nonviolent reasons, rule infractions. And it shouldn't be a death sentence to go, you know, and it shouldn't be done at all to begin with. But we have, you know, and it addresses a larger question about how we prosecute in this county. But at the very least, the urgency is that we make sure people can stay alive in the county jail. I appreciate you listening, and I thank you for your service.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Next is Brian Dolliner.
Good evening. My name is Brian Dolliner. I'm with Champaign-Urbana Citizens for Peace and Justice. I reported on the case of Toya Frazier, who died in the jail on December 1st, 2015, for the Public Eye newspaper, as well as for Smile Politely. You can find the article online. I wrote the article after reviewing 300 pages of the state police investigation into the death of Toya Frazier. Toya Frazier, can you say her name? Toya Frazier. Toya Frazier. Toya Frazier was a member of this community, a part of a large family in this community, and is deeply missed. We hear from within the local schools about young children who wondered what happened to their auntie. They haven't got an explanation. The board deserves to give them an explanation. What is going on in the jail? Toya Frazier was entered into the jail after 3 delays for health reasons. She told guards that she was a heroin user. 2 witnesses in the jail said that they heard her screaming all night. The guards' response was to throw her in one of these naked cells that was described by Mr. Davidson, where she was stripped and left to deal with her condition. She asked for medication from a nurse. She was provided 1 dose and a second. In the middle of the afternoon, she saw a nurse but was denied further medication. She ended up being found dead shortly later. As video reveals, and this was video that was reviewed that night and known that night by the authorities, video which has not yet been released by the sheriff. Video shows Toya Frazier lying. Toya Frazier, can you say her name? Toya Frazier. Toya Frazier laid dead in the cell for almost 90 minutes without being attended to by the guards. The guards are supposed to check every 15 minutes. That was a policy that was implemented by the sheriff after the 3 deaths in 2004, which we also protested. We think that the public has a right to see the video. We believe that the Frazier family's attorney has a right to the video, which she still has not received from the sheriff, although we know the sheriff has the video. We cannot blame anybody else. We can't blame the mental health board. We can't blame the sheriff. When the lawsuits come, they're going to be directed at the Champaign County Board, and it's going to be your responsibility to respond. Paul Clifton died. Can you say Paul Clifton's name? Paul Clifton. Paul Clifton died in the county jail for a suspended license. Veronica Love Horsted. Say her name. Love. Love. As she was known in the community, also failed to have her addictions addressed in the county jail. We are investigating both these cases further and waiting for the investigation results from the state police. These people are not a threat to the community. We don't have to be concerned about letting these people out on the streets. They should be out on the streets. They are not a threat to the community. They are members of our community and deserve our concern and attention. These all 3 individuals, all 3 of them were also African American in a county jail which is 60 to 70% black. They don't need to be held in the jailhouse. Their lives mattered. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dolliner. Bobby Trist.
Bobby Trist, Champaign. I've spoken several times before this board. Tonight I'm going to be reading a statement from Dottie Burrow Weiss, who is in Pennsylvania celebrating her father's 100th birthday. She's a fellow Quaker and also a physician, and then I hope I have a little time to speak as a clinical social worker and someone with mental health and substance abuse problems in my own extended family. So this is Dottie's. The death of Veronica Horsted in Champaign County Jail on Friday, June 10th is a tragedy, both for her family and for our whole community. This is the third jail death in the past 6 months, and it raises questions that we as a community need to deal with. Why was the car she was in stopped last Monday evening? Why does the presence of a single bullet and a starter pistol, if not an actual weapon, in the car constitute a reason for arrest? Why was she still in jail 3 days later? According to the News Gazette article, she was known to attorneys in both the state's attorney and public defender's offices who said when she was sober, she was a very kind woman whom everyone regarded well, and that she was a very sweet lady, always respectful and very pleasant. Why wasn't she released on recognizance? She was evaluated at Carle Hospital before being taken to jail. The reason isn't given in the article, but in a May incident, she was evaluated there for pain and trouble breathing. Did she have similar symptoms the 3 days she was in jail? Does the jail's contracted medical care provider have appropriate staff and protocols to deal with people with common medical problems? Are medical staff on site often enough? We need answers. We need our county board or other agency to investigate all the factors leading up to the 3 deaths and report to the community on the measure that will prevent future tragedies. On my own behalf, as a mental health professional, I am very, very concerned about these 3 deaths. The one that speaks loudest to me is Toya Frazier, who was allowed to scream in pain before she died from heroin withdrawal. I have a granddaughter who has addiction problems, and I was just at a joint session with her therapist on Saturday. So this hits very close to home. She happens to be white, and I think if she were a person of color, she would have been spending a lot more time in jail. She has spent a little time in jail, but really, considering that she ran down a utility pole when she was drunk once, she's come off pretty well. And why in the world was a man taken out of his bed for a suspended license? He wasn't even driving at the time, on Easter morning or the night before, whatever it was. It boggles my mind. We need treatment. We need a place for people to go. As many of you know, I have now an over 50-year view of mental health. As my first job in mental health was the summer of 1963 when I was between my sophomore and junior year in college. And I have seen the whole arc going from the warehouses where people were held for decades and sometimes railroaded in there to what was supposed to be coming to the community. Well, the people are in the community, but they're on the streets. And we started to have the beginnings of a facility where the police could drop people off or people could go when they needed help. And I'm not sure exactly what happened, but one of the objections was because the mental health board had enough for a small facility, for the facility, but not for the staff. Oh, we want a bigger facility. We need to start someplace, and if there was money to start with that, that's where we should have started. We need to start, and we need to start now, and it's all our responsibility, and you as our elected representatives, to see that people in this community have adequate care, even if they are poor and even if they are black. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Trist. Martell Miller is next.
I'm gonna start with this. I don't have no thought of having a new county jail in this town. We need a drug facility, and we need a nursing home. Do not sell our nursing home. Do not build a county jail. Do something for the people. New jail, we got 2 new jails. Both our jails are built, they're less than 50 years old. Do not put a jail referendum on this ballot this year. Put something, a facility for drugs in this community. That's where I'm gonna start. I know all 3 of the people that died in the last 6 months. I know Ms. Frazier, I know Mr. Clifton. I just left Mr. Clifton's son this morning. I just got back from Phoenix. Paul is like a stepson to me. Paul been in my life since he's about 6 years old. He still want to know what happened to his dad. Why did his dad die? He had 2 asthma attacks in the county jail. Why wasn't he taken to the hospital? I have asthma. If I have 2 asthma attacks, I'm damn sure going to the hospital. And we have people there that supposed to look after people in the county jail. They say they had a nurse. Why didn't she send this man to the hospital? For nonviolent crimes in Champaign, you are actually sentenced to death. All 3 of these people had a nonviolent crime, and now they're dead. And y'all ought to be having a study session about that. Y'all be talking about it right now. We'll have a study session about deaths in Champaign in our county jail. And somebody's gonna be held accountable. I don't care if it's the sheriff, the medical people that supposed to be watching, somebody is going to be held accountable for these deaths. Because I guarantee if they were white, somebody be held accountable. I've been coming here for 10 years, over 10 years, county board about things at the county jail. I came in here about Mrs. Hunn that was a diabetic, and she didn't get her diabetic medicine and died in the county jail. That's been about 8 years ago. When is this county board is going to fix the problem with the county jail? I remember a lot of y'all members been on this board I didn't see you for 8 years. So y'all are not people that don't know about the problem. Y'all just don't want to fix the problem. But we can talk about a county jail. We can hire people to come and do studies about getting a new jail. Let's do a study about getting new housing in this community. Let's do a study about how to get people employed in this community. Let's do a study about how to get a drug facility paid for in this community. Let's do a study how to keep our nursing home in this community, which it have 150 beds for Medicaid. Where do you think they don't go? We only got 200 in this county. If y'all give it the 150 y'all got, where are the people gonna go that needs the help? I got a friend right now, could not get in the facility in this town. He's 50 miles away from here in Arthur. His mom is 75 years old and sick. She can't get to see her son. And y'all elected officials, y'all supposed to look at us. When is this county board gonna start to do things for the people? And I'm telling you, a new jail, and I'm gonna keep talking about, is not for the people. How can 16% of the people of this town be 70% of the jail? 60-70% of the people go into prison. We have a racial justice task committee for the county board, and they were asked to look at housing, mental health. We just had Access Initiative, got all the mental health research we need in this town taken. While we had them looking at that, we need to look at the problems with our jail. I've been talking about racial profiling. From our county to all 3 of our police departments, from the University of Champaign Police to the Urbana Police, all y'all got racial profiling. Let's fix that. Paul was taken to jail for a traffic violation. Got out of his bed for a traffic violation. That ought to raise a red flag. How many white people right now that got a warrant on a traffic violation that they don't go get out of the bed? Answer that. How many of y'all that went and got this? We go call the county, whoever went and picked him up. How many white people y'all that went and picked up, knocked on their door, got him out of bed, and took him to jail? This is a very racial community right now, a racist community. From the University of Illinois to the Urbana Police traffic stop to us having a group looking at racial problems with the county. When we gonna start looking at our problems instead of making more problems? like getting a new jail. That's a new problem. If you get a jail, you got to pay for it, and you ain't going to put nobody in a jail to look like y'all. They're not going to be white people going to jail. You're going to fill it with black people, non-violent black people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I'll put my glasses on. Yvonne Johnson?
My name is Yvonne Johnson. I live 1802 Garden Hill. I'm an ex-heroin addict, and I can relate to the Frazier family and Veronica. Because one thing I do know is that I almost lost my life in the Prairie Center. When you're not medical, tend to coming off of heroin with a withdrawal. 10 years ago, I almost lost my life in the Prairie Center with some withdrawal and things going on. They don't have the medical detox at the county jail because I do H&I at the county jail for recovery. And I noticed that it's a lot of people that come into the jails, come to jail, and they don't have a medical facility. When you're withdrawing off drugs, heroin, that is one of the deadliest withdrawals you can get. Because if you don't get the attention that you need and the medication that you need, your body will shut down. I can relate with the crying, the hollering, being in a fetal position, laying in your own vomit. It just goes on and on. I'm talking about, I know these things, not just see these things, I know these things. I'm in recovery, but we need a lot of help in this community with addicts, and we don't have that. We don't have a lot of people to help with that disease. They just throw you in jail, throw away the key. When I go into the jails and I see a lot of people crying and sick, laying on the floor, covered up, you know, and it's just sad, you know, because it's nothing that I can do. They don't have the medication. They don't have the resources here for the people here. Veronica went to the hospital 12 hours before she passed away. Noticed that the young lady had a bad heart due to her addiction. Carr Hospital released this lady into the custody of the police. 7 hours later, this lady is dead. Something ain't right here. It's just not right. I don't understand why this community is this big, all these resources, and we don't have any help. When I came here, I was a heroin addict. I had some mental issues going on. I thank God for the program of Narcotics Anonymous, but man, the county jail, y'all don't have any resources for these people. No doctor on staff, no nurse on staff. Coming off heroin is that, hell, you almost dead already. You know, 12 hours into detoxing, your body starts shutting down if you're not treated. This is something I know, it's not something somebody told me. Man, my best friend Missy passed away in the county jail. I mean, this has got to stop somewhere. Y'all people got to do your research here. I mean, y'all just letting these people die? I'm just not understanding how the county jail has all these resources, mental health, all these different doctors here, and nobody can help these people. I just don't understand it. To lay here and just throw these people in a cage. These are human beings. We are not animals. They are not animals. These people lost their lives because they didn't have nobody to attend to them. I know the feeling. I know what it does to you. I can't sit here and say, well, somebody told me. I know. Because if Miss Frazier was sitting in her cell hollering for help, her body was shutting down. Because I'm one of the ones that my body shut down. They had to take me to the hospital. I stayed there 8 days. 8 days. Almost lost my life. But y'all have to find a resource. Y'all have to find some help for these people. Because if you don't, you're going to lose more lives. And it's nothing that I heard that y'all can save these people. Just throw them in jail, and then when they tell you they're not feeling good, they're not feeling well, you just throw them in a cage. You're not giving them their medicine. I'm on 10,000 pieces of medicine. If I go to jail, hell, I'm going to die in jail because they're not going to give me the proper medicine that I'm supposed to have. But with that being said, is that, like the young man said, y'all need more treatment centers here. Y'all need more resources. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson. Leslie Smith.
Good evening. My name is Leslie Smith from Champaign. I'm also a clinical addiction therapist for the past 15 years. I'm also a recovering addict with 19 years and 8 months. I find this situation unacceptable. This is not the first time that has happened, and there's nothing been done about it. The solutions are right before you. No one's moving on them. You're shutting down the detox centers for people to get help. As far as the county jail, there's no explanation that's plausible to me that they died from withdrawal. There's medications that can be given to help with withdrawals that can prevent them from dying. I'm just sitting here listening to people going in and having asthma attacks, not getting their high blood pressure medicine. I suffer from high blood pressure. Mine will go to 200s, triple digits top and bottom. I think about if I was to return to active addiction and I go to the county jail, I'm a dead man out because you refuse to do anything. It's madness. You have the resources. If you don't have them, make them up like you do everything else. Help the people. This is so sad and an outrage that we're allowing people to die in the county jail from withdrawal. We need to, you're here to protect and serve the people. And it looks like the service stops at the county jail door. Then it turns into a whole different level. You're inhuman, you're disrespected, way before you get there, but definitely while you're there. And you're treated inhumane, you know, and there's no explanation that this should be happening at all. There's a simple solution. There's a simple solution. Give the people what they need to address their medical issues. Heroin withdrawal is a medical issue. It's really sad that we sit here today discussing this when this has happened before. And we're back again, and we still sit here looking at each other, nodding our heads, and you know, when I remove myself from the seat, you know, I'm leaving you with the challenge of addressing the issue. There is a simple solution for a tragic problem. The system is broke. We all know that, from one spectrum to the other. Let's fix it here and now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Next is Byron Clark.
Good evening. Again, my name is Byron Clark. First, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm speaking here both as president of National Council of African American Men, Illinois chapter, but also as a family member of Toya Frazier and an acquaintance of Paul Clifton and Veronica Love Moore. I have been given permission to speak on behalf of Toya Frazier as a family member. And it's unlikely that my words are going to be able to capture the experience that my family has faced throughout this ordeal. Behind me are several other family members, including two of Toya's sisters, a nephew. And I want you to know that the pain that the family has gone through in the aftermath of this is more than you could probably imagine. If you've ever lost a loved one, I'm sure you've experienced the grief, the normal grief that goes along with that. But when you start to think about losing a loved one who has been placed in the care and the custody of a government entity like the county jail, and imagining that person being alone, tortured, screaming for help with none coming, you would begin to see that as a family. And she has a twin sister here sitting behind me who in particular has really suffered the brunt of this. She has not been able to sleep soundly, full night's sleep in months. She doesn't laugh and smile anymore. The family itself had to wait more than 6 hours after Toya's death to even receive notification or someone reaching out to them. And by then, the information was coming in from other sources. So the family actually had to get that information from an outside source, and that's just outrageous. So we're upset, we're saddened, we're really, really angry, and to be honest, we're really disappointed that it came to this. As county board members, you should be extremely outraged that one of your constituents, or several of your constituents, I'm sorry, many have died in one of your facilities for lack of medical attention, for lack of compassion, for lack of somebody caring enough to make sure that those people were helped. You should also be alarmed that once again, we're sitting here talking about the confluence of race and class. We know for a fact that drug addiction does not discriminate. That white people and affluent people, wealthy people use drugs at roughly the same rate, and yet you don't see them dying in your jail. That should tell you something. That should tell you that people are dying because, as a board, you haven't provided the resources to make sure they stay alive. That's a failure, in my opinion. That's something that you can do something about. We're always, every time that we sit at these meetings, we're talking about allocation of resources, and more often than not, it requires that we prioritize what's important here. And if human life isn't important to the county board, saving lives, the people that died from these health issues, from the drug addiction, cannot be reduced to these caricatures that we see in our media and throughout television and all that. They're human beings. And I know personally, Toya Frazier was one of the most beautiful people in the world. And she suffered from a disease. And we need to treat it that way. We need to give her and other people like her the attention, the compassion, everything that they need to make sure that they don't die tragically that way. You have a responsibility. I expect you to live up to that responsibility. And we can do that together quietly, or we can continue to come to this board and demand and shout and jump up and down until it's done. But make no mistake, we will be here until we have systems in place to prevent this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. We have done our 60 minutes. I have 4 more slips. I am willing to ask a board member to move to suspend our board rules and give us be 20 more minutes for the 4 slips, 5 minutes each. Mr. Quisenberry?
I would like to move to suspend our rules to hear the 4 remaining speakers.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't hear who did the second.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Rosales. Okay, thank you. There were plenty of them. I appreciate that very much. Any discussion on suspending the rules? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. All right, thank you very much. We have an additional 20 minutes per suspending the rules. We have 4 more people. I won't accept any more slips since this has been established. And each person, please watch the clock so we can stay within those 20 minutes. And the next person up is Azar Cobbs.
You might have made a mistake by extending the request. First of all, I would like to thank the county board for allowing me to exercise my rights to free speech. I'm going to put out a disclaimer. It is not my intention at any time to disrespect any individual or any board member with what I'm about to say. I would like to start by saying that in 2016, on this Juneteenth month, that we are being confronted by a lot of hate and bigotry that we have endured for almost 100 years ago. Some people want to return us back to an ugly history in past. Jim Crow has kids and grandkids now, and we must not forget that we as a people are not going back. We are moving forward. I would like to take this time out to acknowledge our innocent brothers and sisters whom have fell victim to an evil and wicked system. And I want to let them know that we love you and your death will not go in vain. When one goes to jail or in custody, you do not lose your rights or privileges. You are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, which judged amongst your peers. While you are in custody, you are supposed to be protected under law until you receive an arraignment or a bond hearing with an attorney. While a citizen is being detained, he or she should be given first aid as well as medical attention and food and water. In the last 10 years or so, there has been about 10 suspicious deaths at the county jail. Suicidal hangings, heart attacks, misdiagnosis of medicine, abuse, retaliation, asthma, high blood pressure, diabetes, and drug addiction. I want to know who's in charge, who's responsible for the last 10 years with this type of going-ons. So if anybody's been sitting on this board for 10 years, they should be privy to this particular information. A, county board, negligence on the board for not noticing the deaths that are occurring on their watch. Are they not providing transparency or accountability to the sheriff department, but not doing anything? Is this county board complicit in this miscarriage of justice? B, state's attorney, not willing to properly investigate or prosecute anyone for any type of wrongdoing? C, sheriff, is he the leader of the team? And is this his department? Should he be held accountable for what goes on his department? Officers' behavior and conduct? Should he make sure that every citizen is treated with utmost respect? Is it a system that makes its budget off the black and brown constituents, which are 80% of the jail population, in which 80% of the population is black and brown? 90% of the jail system is run and operated by whites. There's no diversity at all anywhere. I got about 3 solutions here that we need to maybe think about. Someone needs to be held accountable. Is it going to be the county board? All of you guys up here? Is it going to be the state's attorney? Or is it going to be the sheriff? If not, we need an independent investigation with shark teeth and not some okey-dokey bull crap that have been feeding us this bull for many of years. If we do not achieve our goals or solutions, then we have to ask that we have to get a little federal intervention in Champaign County. And I think the feds are right here looking at the Chicago Police Department right now. And I mean, honestly, it's just a travesty. You guys got to come on with it, because I'm 58 years old. And black folks, we waiting on change, you know. Lives are ruined each and every day. And we don't have time to put it on the back burner or anything like this. The time is now. We're allocating money to all types of programs, but we're not getting to the root of the program, mental health. Millions of dollars we spend on slapping at mental health, but we don't allocate the real aspect of it. We need to really do something. And matter of fact, last point, over on Lincoln Avenue and Goodwin, I think is an old nursing home that's closed right there. That would make an excellent mental health institution for folks with problems. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Cobbs. Next is Neil Parthen.
Hi, I'm Neil Parth. I'm going to keep it very, very short to let the other speakers speak. I just wanted to come and show my support for the previous speakers that you've heard for the past hour, and really, where is the accountability? What are we doing about these deaths? They're incredibly concerning to me. So I just wanted to come and lend my support to that. So I'll keep it short here.
Thank you very much for coming. Next is Dante Lotz. I see him. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Jotted down some notes so I wouldn't try to be all over the place, so bear with me. First and foremost, we started this meeting with a moment of silence, and it was dedicated to the individuals that lost their lives in Orlando, which is a travesty. But where my mind was at when we first started, before that was mentioned, was I thought it might be Muhammad Ali. And then my mind went to, well, what about the 3 individuals plus that have lost their lives in the jail in the past 6 months? This is a small community. We are all connected in some way, shape, or fashion. When it comes to Paul, we sung in community choirs together. I know he was a member of the Safe House at one point, and he was faithful under the direction of Willie T. Somerville. Veronica, or Love,
We had mutual friends that didn't find out till after she passed. But anytime I saw her in the community, she had a bright smile on her face. If the papers didn't print that she had an issue with heroin, I would not have known that. She was a graduate of Eastern, amongst other accomplishments in her life. And finally, Toya. I would have to go all the way back to 302 East Church Street at my grandma Terry house, where Toya and Tawana, her twin, spent the nights with my cousin around the holidays, Christmas, because my cousin's birthday was around that time. So we go way back to that point in time in my life. And again, looking at Toya and the smile she had on her face on a regular basis and her happy spirit, would not have known some of the issues until it's in the media. We have to look at the systems that are in place. We have to truly analyze it. It's our job to tailor it as we move along. What we did 10 years ago probably shouldn't be done exactly that same way, shape, and fashion today. We have to look at our systems. We have to look at individuals that enter the county jail because it cannot be a cookie-cutter method. If someone comes in, they have a mental health issue, have a substance abuse issue, or a physical health issue, something should be different with those individuals. And it sounds like these individuals that we're mentioning, because there is more. I lost my prom date, Melissa Mullins, to the jail. We know these individuals had things going on, but again, what can we control in this situation is what we need to look at. And if someone is not doing what they're supposed to, then, either they need to be dismissed or, we're talking about lives that are lost. This is not something, that's minor. One thing I didn't hear is the empathy. We need to get a better sense of empathy as well as communication. If someone is screaming, if someone is balled up, if you see someone laying in their vomit, urine, or feces, we have to do something about that, not treat them like animals. And so we need, in order to have effective empathy, you got to have a vivid imagination and strong, effective communication. This means that we have to be outside the box when we're dealing with human beings, regardless of the color. I challenge you all, in wrapping this up, to YouTube the song that I love listening to every now and then. It's called Something Inside So Strong. I challenge you to YouTube that song and listen to it with your eyes closed or not. And let's move forward in life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lutz. Richard Wilson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Reinhard. I know it's real different.
I apologize.
It's all right.
I misread your first name.
It's all right. I want to first start off saying that it's easier to build a child than mend a broken adult. We have to start young. We already know the problems we have in this community. Why are we building a jail? That does not make sense at all. And believe it or not, there are people in this community that's not born rich or with a silver spoon in their mouth. We have people that have been through a lot of different things, fathers, mothers, not there, drugs, bad influence in their life. I am one of them. I come from a crazy childhood, but I had love and support. I had great women. I had family. I had great programs that was in place. I've come from the project, come from everything. I'm going to get my master's, own a business. I work for the U of I. I work for a behavioral mental hospital. I'm not saying I'm the most successful thing in the world, but I am trying. And you cannot just shun away from somebody of a color or from where they're from. I experienced so many different things in this community. I used to brag about this city, this area. Now it just makes me want to cry. Just the lack of accountability. It's disgusting. Just going out in your own little mind and you have been racially profiled. Y'all don't know how that feel unless you was in my shoes. I haven't done anything wrong. I mean, I'm not perfect, but I'm one of them guys you can see, and I have a name, and people look up to me because I am trying. I'm trying to fight for this community. I just need y'all help. I need some resources. Y'all want to spend millions of dollars on things that don't even matter. What is that going to do at the end of the day? We need to build up from their young. I know all y'all probably have kids, grandkids. I know y'all telling them gems, things that help them out, the importance of education, life skills, things that's going to help them out when they get to adult. You're going to just wait till they have different choices. Nobody's perfect. Many of y'all has made mistakes in y'all life, but you're not shunned or end up dying in the jail. It's ridiculous. You have police out here gung-ho and they're incompetent of their position, riding around, having guns in the club. What type of person is like? I don't understand. And then y'all blame one. It's really sickening. Even people on this board been for 8 years. What have y'all done? Can y'all look at yourself at night? As long as y'all family's not affected by it. So that's what it is. As long as nobody's died. Nobody's kids is good. We live in a good, safe neighborhood. Some of y'all probably don't even care. Go home and not even think about this. That's cool. But we'll be still here. I am. I was living good. I was coming from all the way from Georgia and moved back. I ain't heard 2 of my family members died. 3 of my family members died in the same week. I'm strong, but I'm not that strong to have that going back to back. And then it's cool if I can see what happened. We still don't even know. I have a brother, Derek Perry, died in Rantoul. They were more concerned about his organs. That's it. Police left everything, his wallet, his money, everything, where he was at. It's disgusting. We need to do something. I'm not pulling the race card or anything like that, but just look at the board and look at the ratios. That tells it by itself. You need to have people, diversity in the higher rankings from the ground up. And I'm going to say, I'm willing to work. And I just need y'all to work with me because it's not going to stop. Obviously, I'm on both sides. We both know violence happens in all different races. And it's sickening me seeing these senseless gun acts in Champaign over and over from both sides. And I understand y'all here and y'all want some change. You know, I speak for the young and older. And I'm just here. And I'm just really sick and I'm fed up. And I moved back here off faith, my God. And this is where he got me to be. And it's been going good since then. And I'm putting my foot out there and I'm doing whatever it could take. And I'm not just talking. I'm about action. I just need y'all help. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson. I have one slip that I'd like to read into the record. Patricia Avery was not able to stay. She left a note, so to put this on the public record, she said, I will go on record as being an audience participant and will speak on the issue at a later time. I ran out of time tonight, but something must be done. So thank you, all of you, for coming this evening. I will close public participation now. All right, board communications. Okay, I don't see any. I'd like to just mention two things. I'm sorry everybody's leaving so soon, so they won't hear both of these. The first one is Mr. Dolliner and I had a conversation toward the end of last week, and he did point out to me about the video and Ms. Fraser, and I have arranged that I will be viewing that video. I won't be able to do it until next week due to the fact that the sheriff's out of town and Deputy Chief just came back from the conference in Washington, D.C. today, but I have made that arrangement. And the second point that I'd like to make, again, I'm sorry Mr. Townsend had left right after he spoke. Mr. Townsend is accurate from the perspective that it's a very confusing aspect that the federal law and the state law do not work well together in relation to the Housing Authority Board and the appointment of a member of the Resident Advisory Board. There's no question about that. He is correct that previously people tried to iron that out, as did Ms. Busey, I, and Mr. Bland, who was the director of the Housing Authority. We did not accomplish that perfectly, even though we had consulted with the state's attorney on how to approach it. It turned out not to be totally accurate. The problem is the following. There's an intergovernmental agreement for appointments to that board. And the intergovernmental agreements are with Urbana, Champaign, the county, and the Resident Advisory Board for the Housing Authority. Both Champaign and Urbana are home rule communities, so they can give away their authority or change their authority. The county cannot. And what happened was that the county gave away their authority for the appointment of the representative from the Resident Advisory Board. So Mr. Townsend does have a point that, in fact, that appointment really should be being made by the county. The way it was set up in the intergovernmental agreement is that if there is not a proper election held by the Resident Advisory Board and one that is overseen by an outside agency so it can be vouchsafed for, then it falls by default to the county board to make that appointment. That's what happened when, with the example that he presented this evening, and former Chair Kurtz had to straighten that out. As I say, we thought we did get it straightened out. Mr. Snyder and I are very sorry Mr. Townsend chose not to have the meeting with us, at which point we could have explained all of this. Mr. Townsend is not correct. The state's attorney did not say we had done anything illegal, nor did the attorney for the Housing Authority. They both acknowledged that it's a very confusing situation and have suggested to all of us to go back to the drawing board, which is what we intend to do with both Champaign and Urbana and the Resident Advisory Board. So I want you all to know that, and I want it on the public record to let you know that, again, we are working on it, and it would have worked much better if Mr. Townsend had had the meeting with us, and further, it would have worked much better if Mr. Townsend had had the courtesy of sending us a carbon copy of the letter that he had sent up to the Chicago head office. All right, no other comments from members of the board. All right, Justice and Social Service, Ms. Berkson, do you have anything that you would like to say? Your microphone.
Our community elements here to present.
I don't see community elements.
Okay, so then.
Were they supposed to be here tonight to present?
That's what I had understood at the last meeting, but I may have misunderstood. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, all right, then we need is to accept all of these reports and put them on file.
All right, so done. Those reports will be put on file. Do you have any other business?
Oh, and to cancel the July Justice and Social Service Committee meeting.
All right, are you moving to
I
do
move
that?
that, yes.
A second? Thank you, Mr. Esri. Any discussion on this?
Point of order, somebody other than Ms. Bergson should make the motion because she is effectively the chair during this section.
Point taken.
And I'd be glad to take over that role.
Thank
for
you,
her.
Mr. Quisenberry, and Mr. Esri, you're still seconding. All right, all in favor of canceling the July meeting of Justice and Social Service, say aye, please. Aye. Those opposed, nay. No. Okay, 1 no for the record. All right, anything else, Ms. Bergson?
No, I think not. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Quisenberry, are you going to stay there? Are you going to?
I'm just going to stay here if that's okay by you.
Yeah, that works
I
perfectly.
usually move, but I'm kind of tired tonight, so I'm just going to stay right here. All right, good evening, everyone. For Policy, Personnel, and Appointments, we'll start out in our appointments section. The first item is appointment by the chair for a new county board member from District 8 to replace Sam Shore. Ms. Petrie.
Yes, the County Democratic Party and the precinct committee people have chosen to put forth Matt Heiser.
And you are
Yes.
proposing him? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Do I have a second? All right. Any discussion or questions?
May I?
Ms. Petrie, go
I
ahead.
just wanted to let everybody know Matt had intended to be here this evening. Unfortunately, the flu has taken him down, so he let me know about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Petrie. Seeing no other questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. That passes unanimously. Next, we have the Prairie View Cemetery Association. We have a vacancy for a term from July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2022. Ms. Petrie.
Yes, Stephen Westfall.
I have a second from Mr. Rector. Any discussion or questions? Any explanation, Ms. Petrie?
No.
All right. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. That also passes unanimously. Next, for the Forest Preserve District Board, a term going from July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2021. Ms. Petrie.
Yes, William Goodman.
All right, do I have a second? Ms. Bergson seconds. Any follow-up, Ms. Petrie?
You do note that Chris White is the individual who's presently on the board, but he will be moving out of the district. So to let you know, that is the reason. And William Goodman is an excellent replacement for him.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. That also passes unanimously. You should, we're not doing number 4, it was taken off the agenda. We're moving to B1. We have the monthly report for May 2016 from the county clerk. If anybody has any questions, now would be the time to ask them. Seeing none, we'll accept that report and place it on file. We also, in section C1, have the Administrative Services Monthly Report for May 2016. Any questions for Mr. Snyder tonight on that report? Okay, we'll accept that one and place it on file. Next up, you have in your packet the revised nursing home personnel policy as amended through our discussion at the full board meeting by Pius Weibel. I think he provided most of the changes in that discussion. And at this moment, I'd like to entertain a motion to pass it as it was amended so we can start discussing it. All right, we have a motion and we have a second. by McGuire and Hartke. Thank you, Mr. Esri. I was getting to it. So, any discussion? I think we have the clear text in front of us, so there's no confusion now. The changes that Pius suggested to make it consistent. Any concerns at this point or other discussion? Ms. Petrie?
Yes, I have passed around for all of you to look at a document that I did a little research because as I expressed at the last time we discussed this, that there was not a third step in an appeal process. And I did some research to see if my concerns had any validity, and the result of the research did turn up some interesting information and suggestions that it is important to have a third step in an appeal process. And it applies to situations where we have non-bargaining employees working with bargaining employees. And that third step is an outside hearing panel, and that is somewhat what I had put on the table the last time. There is one other aspect that I will share with you that came up last night at the nursing home board meeting, and that is whatever ends up being approved for this personnel policy, it is different than what we have in our county board personnel policy. So there will be a next step, chair of policy, to get those two in alignment, whatever the county board's final decision is on this policy. So take a moment and sort of scan down that sheet and look at that third step. The first two are just very parallel to what was previously discussed and in the document. And I would be interested in just some discussions on it before I move ahead to make a motion to amend.
Mr. Hartke.
Yeah, are we talking about this sheet here? Just FYI, this 22 pages of the exact same documents stapled together, handed out to everybody, so it's not a real sustainable.
That was not supposed to be the case. It's just
Yeah.
one sheet.
Okay.
I'm
Just
sorry that
to save a
happened.
paper
I don't know
future.
how that happened, okay? It's one sheet on both sides, folks.
So if I could summarize, the changes that we have in front of us, unamended at this point, adds another step of grievance for non-representative employees, and that's the change that we were discussing. Ms. Petrie, through her research, has come to the conclusion that we should add not one step, but a third step, which involves an outside party. So at this point, if anybody would like to talk about that additional step, this would be a good time to do it. If the board felt like a third step was required, we would either need to make an amendment tonight that creates that step in the policy as it stands, or we would have to do some additional research to write up another change to the language to get it ready for a future time, perhaps even forwarding it to the full board without recommendation while that language was added. So I would like to hear from people about their feelings about the need for the third step. Ms. Berkson.
I think we're all familiar with the workplace politics of the boss who is the pet of the Uber boss. And the current procedure says you go to your boss and then to your Uber boss. And they're both in the office. And yes, I think there should be an appeal to a disinterested person, because I think the politics of this two-level one can be ugly.
If I could ask for a clarification, Ms. Berkson, what we have in front of us is a grievance policy that goes outside of the organization. We're adding a step. This is for the nursing home board. So when the administrator, the senior executive of the nursing home says, you know, there's discipline or there's somebody's dismissed and that employee has an appeal, then it comes to the county administrator for review. So the county administrator doesn't hire the nursing home administrator. That is done by MPA. So the way you stated that seemed to imply that you were concerned about, you know, reporting structure, but we don't need a third step to answer your concern, but we would need that might be necessary when we're looking at the county policy, because yes, the county administrator is the ultimate authority for all of the employees of the county. So
as it stands, they go to their boss and then they go straight to you?
Oh, the policy here would be, this was, I think, originated because for people who are direct reports of the nursing home administrator, there wasn't really any form of appeal. So here, it still starts with the immediate supervisor, then it goes to the nursing home administrator, and then it would go to the county administrator at that point. If there was not settled at the earlier step.
does that answer your concern?
Yes, it answers
Thank
my
you.
concern, certainly.
Other
Mr.
discussion?
Snyder.
Yes, Mr. McCoy.
So the new third level suggested as an amendment is the county administrator?
No, that's the old one.
No, we're not discussing an amendment right now.
No, I'm just trying to
As
differentiate.
it
so I
stands
understand.
right now, it goes to the county administrator as the review.
Because I'm not sure who the third level would be. I mean, in
That's
in
what this
university, and I wish you,
description is about.
I know, and I wish you'd pick something from the University of Illinois rather than Michigan State, but usually.
So actually, I tried to copy it from the professional organization from whence what you have there comes, but I couldn't get a copy, so Michigan State was default.
Right.
They had theirs available online for free, and the professional organization didn't, so.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay. Usually we'd have plenty of levels to go through to get to another level. I mean, campus and then university level, and then arbitration. We would have to go outside, and where would the outside be? Outside the county or out to get that third?
The way that I read this is an outside panel, meaning outside the structure where the person is employed. So it could be 3 retired attorneys, just, pick whatever would be outside the immediate work environment. In other words, an arm's length person. That's the
Retired
point.
judge.
Yeah.
That's what I've been told is used in this kind of situation. So it's not somebody that's always there. It's only if you need it, you go out and seek someone to act as that impartial arbitrator. Yes, Lorraine.
At the board of directors meeting last night, we reviewed this and it was passed unanimously.
Thank you. That's good to know. Any other comments? Okay, so since everybody's talked and Patsy has passed out the document, I'll throw in my 2 cents, which is I don't believe at this time that we need this additional level in the situation of the nursing home. I do feel like because the county administrator is outside of the scope of the nursing home's management structure. But I do think it bears consideration as we look at fixing the county policy, where we end up where the administrator is part of that administrative structure, that it might be worthwhile to consider there. Yes, Ms. Petrie?
Then a question of clarification. Should the county board end up with an RFP for the next administrator or director of the nursing home, and that then gets directly hired by the county board, then there would be a need for this third level, if I'm understanding your logic.
I would agree that if those circumstances came to pass, I'd have to review my feelings on this matter. So seeing no further discussion, I'd like to call the vote on the way it was written in your packet with no amendment. Everybody good with that? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. That passes unanimously. I don't have any other business. Does anybody have any other business? In consultation with the county administrator on the agenda, I am confident that we can conduct July's Policy Committee of the Whole at the full board meeting in July. So I would entertain a motion to cancel the Policy, Personnel, and Appointment Committee of the Whole meeting in July. Okay, Mr. Harper. Did I hear a second? Ms. Berkson seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Nay. That passes. Thank you. That is all from Policy, Personnel, and Appointments, and that everything except for, well, since we don't have to vote on canceling the Committee of the Whole meeting at the full board meeting. A1, 2, and 3, and C2 are on consent, and that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Quisenberry. Mr. Alex, are you going to stay there tonight?
Sure. It
Okay.
seems to be the new style. Thank you, Madam Chair. First item under finance is the treasurer's report. Treasurer indicated that he would not be able to be here tonight, so without objection, I'll receive his report and place it on file. And we'll move on to the auditor's report. Likewise, unless you have something to add, I would ask that this be accepted and placed on file, and we will do that, and we'll move on to item Mr. Quisenberry.
Since the auditor's report is up there, can I ask him a question?
Absolutely, that's what he's here for.
Any concerns you want to bring to our attention about the nursing home at this point, Mr. Auditor?
Sure, a couple of things. First, the nursing home has been much more responsive to questions about accounts payable in the last several weeks. Since we had our incident in April, they have been projecting out their cash flows to a much longer period. There have been some vendors that have really been on the ball contacting them, and they are working with those vendors. Arrangements have been made to several large vendors for construction projects, the lint filtration and fire dampers. So they've been working with those contractors to get them on a payment schedule. So we're definitely seeing more action out of the management at the nursing home. In talking to them, they feel that they will be able to, on those two major projects that have kind of the immediate concern, they feel that they have worked, and with their cash flow projections, that they're going to be able to take care of those obligations, first with some payments in July, and then again in the fall. So I guess I need to give them credit that they're working on it.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Can I have a follow-up?
Yes, sir.
Chris. So are you saying that the two vendors for the two construction projects are feeling better since the communication is coming and there is a plan for pay? I'm not trying to put words in your mouth,
I don't want to
sir.
speak for them, but let's say communication is happening.
Which is better than before.
Which is better than before, yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Petrie.
Can you update us on the payment of the bills for the computers that are 6 months behind?
There was a concern with a bill for computer licenses, for Microsoft licenses. That bill was paid. And then for some monitors that were purchased, and that one is in the queue for, if it's not this week, it's next week. But I know it's in the queue. I've seen communications on it.
Mr. Snyder?
This afternoon, Ms. Schwartz and I had a meeting with MPA to discuss these issues. We've asked for them to provide dates certain on all of the payments that have been worked out with the vendors so we can have an accurate schedule when the payments will really go out, not estimates of these things. We've also asked for some additional information that should be helpful to the board on the financial condition of the nursing home.
And I should also add that if any of you would like the nursing home's aged vendor report, they now send that to me monthly updated, and I'm glad to share it with you. Just shoot me an email. I have to redact some names because there are some patient names included on there, but I'm more than happy to share it with anyone who needs it.
Thank you. Anybody else on this topic? Seeing none, we will accept your report, place it on file, and move on to item B2. This is also from the auditor's office. This is a budget transfer request 16-4 for $400 new appropriations to share the cost of positive pay fraud protection on the accounts payable checking account with the treasurer's office. We have a motion to send this to the full board with a recommendation for approval. Ms. Michaels, may I have a second? Mr. Quisenberry. Feel free to
May I
address
explain?
this.
Yeah. Busey Bank, our accounts payable checking account is our largest checking account. We do about 20,000 checks a year. And Busey Bank is requiring this. This is a level of fraud protection where basically when we generate our weekly accounts payable run, we'll also generate a report that will go to Busey. It'll show check numbers and amounts. And then when those checks are presented for payment, Busey runs it against that report and makes sure it's a legitimate check. Scammers have tried, not necessarily on the county's accounts, but scammers have tried to generate checks, and it works a lot of the time. So this is just one other way that banks with large accounts like this can try to help prevent fraud. The cost is 3 cents a check. I'm sorry. Yeah, about 3 cents a check. They also do this on our ACH payments. So the treasurer and I, we really weren't sure who should pay for this. So we thought, let's try to pay for it together since we're kind of partners in this. And so we estimate that it'll be around $1,200 a year. Prorating it for the rest of this year, I need about $400, and I'd like to take it from salary money that's going to be unused at the end of the year.
Ms. Michaels.
I'm not worried about the $400. That's not my issue. My issue is actually we're paying for something that they have a liability for with making sure that the checks don't have a problem. And if there is, then we also have a liability to make sure we catch it within, 45 days after the statement's printed, maybe 60 days in writing, something to that nature.
Yeah, yes.
So I don't know. I guess I just wanted that set out in the open.
Yeah, I will be a little more explicit. Presumably, Busey Bank gains some benefit out of their relationship with the county.
Absolutely.
Why are we paying for this?
I asked the same question. The treasurer actually deals with the bank accounts. They set them up. They're the ones that get to decide what banks we use. I said the same thing. I said, boy, it seems like community goodwill. Maybe they should just throw this in. And it didn't go anywhere. One of the reasons that we would like to leave this account where it is the accounts payable account. If you were to want to just up and move it to another bank, there's actually a lot of work that would have to be done because of the volume of checks that is written on that account. So from our standpoint, with limited resources, we think it's probably best idea to keep it, this account with them. If it was one of our other accounts, we have about a dozen or so different checking accounts. We write maybe 4 or 5 checks a month on some of those accounts. Moving around would be no problem at all. The treasurer actually does that quite often, depending on who he can get the best interest rates from. But Mr. Alex, I see your point exactly. I agree. It was approached, and we were told, well, this is how much it costs.
Ms. Petrie?
I still don't understand why we need another layer based on what Ms. Michaels just explained to us.
I'm just bringing you what Busey tells us, that we have to have it on this account if we want to continue to have an account with Busey.
What would be the cost of moving to a different bank?
I wouldn't be able to tell you that right off the top of my head. That's, again, I really think that's a treasurer issue, since they ultimately decide the accounts.
Well, I don't think it's going to kill us to pay this for a few months while we sort that out, but it's certainly something I'm going to talk to the treasurer about.
I'm glad to sit in with you on that, because I agree.
Is this something that is an annual payment, or is it just this quarterly payment, or are you just paying this to get to December 31? Is this something that if we do change our minds or whatever, we're not locked in for a certain length of time through their analysis program or something of that nature? Because a lot of times what will happen at the bank too is based on our investable balance, we will have an analysis done.
Right.
And that offsets some of the fees that we pay, and I don't know where this falls into
Yeah,
that.
I don't think this locks us into anything.
So it's just as long
And
as
this is-
each check we send them, we got to pay them an extra 3 cents, just because.
That's it. Mhm.
Thank you. Ms. Petrie, is that a question?
Yeah, how much interest are they getting off of this big account they have there in relationship to this charge? I'm sorry, this is a local bank.
They haven't heard the last of this. Anybody else? Ms. Berkson?
I do not understand how it can be that my crummy little account is free, but for the county account with all that money, we have to pay $1,200 a year just to keep an account there.
Ms. Berkson, you do get 5 stars for that one.
Like I said, there'll be some further discussion on this. So, is everybody in favor of willing to give them the $400? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Aye. Good, thank you. That will go to the full board with a recommendation for approval. We'll move on to the nursing home monthly report. Thank you, JJ. Move on to the nursing home monthly report. It is here in front of us. Unfortunately, this was, there have been some delays. Mr. Harkey indicated during our caucus that there have been some personnel changes in the nursing home financial office. So there may be some delays as far as the day on which some of these reports show up. So that may be an issue for the next month or so, but sounds like they're getting things under control. Does anybody have any questions on this? Not that anybody's had time to read it. Ms. Michaels?
Sorry, guys, this is my time. I just kind of scanned through it right away, and in the beginning, it says that the date on it is June. It says it's the March financials. April's not going to be ready till June, so it's almost like a 2-month lag. Okay, that's fine, but then come on about the backside of the first page, they're talking about April and May and don't even include the preliminary census issues for March. And then once again, we're talking about May, come down on the 1, 2, 3rd page here. So I would ask once again to please be consistent with what we're looking at. If we're doing a March report, let's be consistent with March. If they want to make a side note, if you will, or a notation for this is going on in April or May, I think that's great. But once again, I think that we're kind of conglomerating up what looks good for each month.
Just a couple of comments. I mean, I would say two comments which I made in caucus. One, this is a report mostly for the Nursing Home Board of Directors. We just get a copy of it. So I think it's a more a question of whether this is useful to the Nursing Home Board of Directors, not what they want to see. I certainly think we should pass those comments along. The second is obviously some of this information is going to close out at different times. So it's going to be available for varying amounts, varying amounts of look back depending on what the item is. Beyond that, I cannot do anything other than pass along the comments. I think Mr. Harkey, I saw his hand up.
Yeah, we go through this every month, and I understand that people want specific information in this report and all of that. Maybe perhaps a solution would be for those who have regular concerns about the information in this report, to sit down with MPA or create a subcommittee or go to work together and create some very specific guidelines so it's not a moving target every month, and so they have very specific information that they're supposed to provide, and therefore we can say, look, we have asked for this specific information, here's the document that requests it, can you guys please from now on provide it? You know, sometimes it just feels like we have a moving target on what people want in this report.
Mr. Rector.
I've asked 18 times to do a graph the right way with the x-axis and the y-axis. And if these people were in high school, I'd fail them.
Maybe give them a B-. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I will respond to that. I think I understand your concerns. I would recommend that we create a document so that they can use that as a template to create this report so they can meet people's concerns.
Anybody else? I hear you. If there's no other additional comments, we'll receive that report and place it on file with all its flaws. We'll move on to item D1, budget amendments and transfers. This is budget amendment 16-28. This is appropriations of $150,000 and revenue of $150,000 to offset it. This is a pass-through for the Regional Planning Commission for a Curtis Road corridor study. May I have a motion to send this to the full board with a recommendation for approval? I'm sorry, who was that? Ms. Harrison and Ms. Cohort. Any discussion, comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. I move on to item D2. This is budget amendment 16-29. Another pass-through for the Regional Planning Commission. This is $25,000 from HUD for the Continuum of Care Plan to support continuum of care planning, coordination, and project evaluation activities designed to promote community-wide commitment to ending homelessness, providing funding to quickly rehouse the homeless. May I have a motion to send this to the full board with recommendation for approval? Mr. Esri. Second, Ms. Cohort again. Any discussion, questions, or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. That motion carries. We'll move on to item E1, the County Administrator's General Corporate Fund Budget Report, and item E2, the General Corporate Fund Budget Change Report. Mr. Snyder.
Thank you. As you've seen in the past and we've talked about, the continuing problems in Springfield do have some impact on the county budget, particularly of concern as Ms. Ogden has drafted this memorandum. We have a continuing failure for the state to pay for the support enforcement contracts, which impacts primarily the state's attorney's office, but also the sheriff and the county clerk. We lost over $119,000 in the previous fiscal year, and we're currently up to $136,000 for this year. At the last meeting, I think we discussed having or waiting to see what would happen with the budget. As we are here today, it doesn't look like there's going to be much progress coming. I'm hoping that there will be, but I don't think that there's much reason for optimism at this point. So at some point, we're going to have to probably make a decision about what we want to do about this, if we want to pursue any kind of litigation with the state, if we want to alter, the services that we're providing right now under the contract. You can see on one of the following pages the potential impact to the fund balance if we don't receive any additional funding this year and we continue to do the support contract for the remainder of FY16. Ms. Ogden, I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to add to this.
I just wanted to provide an update about the personal property replacement tax misallocation of $121,000. The Department of Revenue has confirmed that they will not recapture that money until at least 2017. However, you will notice on the revenue report that I am projecting still a difference to original budget of a negative $175,000, and that is due to the correction for the formula for personal property replacement tax. The Department of Revenue really hasn't given us any direction to adjust our projections for this revenue. However, based on the last two collections that we received, they were $50,000 less than what we had received in those months in 2015. The Department of Revenue did say that we may be able to recapture some of that money through income tax, because that's where those the misallocation was supposed to go. However, it will not be dollar for dollar. In addition to what Mr. Snyder mentioned in regards to the lack of state funding, the county also has not received prison transportation, law enforcement, and election judge reimbursement. And so it's estimated that the combined total of those funds is about $55,000. And it's also questionable whether the county will receive about $25,000 in grants that are budgeted for 2016, our fiscal year 2016.
One further concern I have too, which I've discussed with Ms. Ogden, and she's pointed this out, is that with the situation of the budget, last year, I believe, beginning July, we did not receive some of our motor fuel tax funds or use tax. There was one other item, I believe.
Video gaming.
Yeah. So not huge, but then again, it's still going to impact the budget negatively.
Well, and it's significant because that, essentially, the only reason that got paid was a much later action, specific legislative action to get those paid. I mean, if there's not a budget, unless there is a repeat of that specific legislation, they won't get paid at all, presumably. So I will say, I mean, I asked sort of Ms. Harkey and Mr. Harrison, who I know follow the goings-on in Springfield. My impression is that there's quite a bit of activity likely over the next couple of weeks. But I'm feeling if we don't see anything by the end of July, we're not going to see anything until after the election. Am I overly pessimistic?
I don't think the election has that much of an impact on whether or not we get a budget.
No, but I mean, do you not think we will get a budget until the election?
I don't think we'll get one until
Okay.
2018.
I mean, I'm not convinced we'll get one after the election, but the question is whether there's any chance we'll get one before. I mean,
so right now, even like the little legislative actions that we have done to partially fund the budget we haven't done any of those. We don't have funding yet for K through 12 education, and that's been more of a conscious decision to force negotiations. Those negotiations continue to fall apart, though.
Great, thank you. Ms. Petrie.
Well, to share what I learned this morning at the Farm Bureau legislative meeting, the view is that there probably will never be any budget during this governor's term of office.
The hits just keep on coming. Thank you. Mr. Snyder, budget change report? Or Ms. Ogden? Sorry, since this is a new arrangement, I'm not exactly sure who's taking which reports these days.
Actually, this is the same report that you received last month. There haven't been any additional changes.
Thank you. We will receive those reports and place them on file. Anybody have any other questions about the state of the budget or the state of the state budget? Good. I have no other business. Only item in the chair's report. I'm not aware of a specific business which would necessitate a July Finance Committee of the whole meeting. I'm happy to be here if you want me to be here. Would someone care to make a motion to cancel the July Finance Committee of the whole meeting? Ms. Michaels, anybody want to second that? Ms. Berkson, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. That sounds like that carried. The next Finance Committee of the whole meeting will be the beginning of August. Items for consent are B2, D1, and D2, and that concludes Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Alex. Yeah, right. I was saving it to the very end. Thank you for the reminder, however. Laid out on your desk is this oversized matrix, and the purpose of the matrix is to look at the horizontal line, and those are all the different aspects of bringing money in some way or another to the county. And on the vertical line are the projects that we have talked about that will cost money. And I wanted to do this for two reasons. This has gone before the Facilities Committee, and as has the white paper that Mr. Snyder wrote. This has gone before the Special Committee for Facilities and Finance has Mr. Snyder's white paper, and those of you who are not involved in either of those committees have received the white paper as an attachment on an email, and now you're getting the oversized paper copy of the matrix. And the purpose of this is where things crossed in the cells. If you want to take some time and rank them, it's a Likert scale, 1 to 7. 7 most important, 1 least important. And what was not added to the bottom is we're looking at things in a 10-year timeline. So fill them out and get them back to us, because we're putting them together with the data we're collecting from these different committees. And we had a one-time meeting with the county staff that have touched finances from any different manner, and they filled this out, and we've collected their data and what they have ranked as most important and least important.
Now she's giving us homework.
Yep, homework, but it won't be graded. You'll get extra credit, some more candy or something. Mr. Alex.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would just want to thank the effort that Mr. Snyder and Mr. Brenner, and I'm sure Ms. Ogden was involved, and others put into this white paper. It's certainly nothing definitive, but throws out, I think, a number of things that we should be looking at, sort of new ways of looking at our facilities issues, questions about, do we need the space that we are in, and are we using the buildings as effectively as we can? What, over the next 10 years, might we be able to do as far as consolidating some operations, changing, what we're using certain buildings for, maybe looking at moving into a space that we currently don't have. I think this is the kind of sort of outside-the-box thinking we're going to have to do. I don't hold out much hope that we're going to see significant additional revenue from anywhere, so I think we need to be looking in the next 10 years over, how are we going to get from point A to point B to the point where we're seeing some of the debt roll off on some of these bond issues, and we can maybe look for a more ambitious plan for the future. But I think this type of thinking, I don't want to call it, maybe in baseball you call it small ball, it's sort of looking at everything in incredible detail. What is it that we can do to get from point A to point B, not in terms of grand, we need to build this building, or we need this whole new source of revenue, but how can we move things around that we have in ways that optimize our operation? So I think it's a great step in the right direction, and I encourage any board members who haven't had a chance to look at that document to look at it, because I think there's going to be a lot of discussion about some of the ideas in that document going forth in the next couple of years. So thank you very much, and thank you to Dana as well.
Thank you, Mr. Alex. Any other last business? Motion to adjourn? You did both of them. Okay, for the record, it was Mr. J on both of those. All right. Have a good weekend, everyone.